It's Saturday, April the 20th, 2024. And, I'm actually wearing clean clothes, which is different for me. I'm not covered in syrup or honey or propolis or wax or bee poop or something like that. So there's something different going on here. And we're at a banquet. We're at a charity banquet tonight. There's some people up there playing ball before things start. So this is the charity that we support. They've invited us to bring a table to sell honey. And I told her that I'd only do that if I can give her 100% of the proceeds that we get from this honey. So we're donating all this honey here, and we did this last year. I didn't bring nearly enough honey last year, so I brought a lot more today, and hopefully I'm going to tell them from the podium, I said, don't make me take this stuff home. It's heavy, it's a lot of lifting. So so we're happy to be here, and this is the Selkirk chapter of Youth for Christ. Now, Youth for Christ, I'm not reading the brochure, so, I'll just give you an idea of what they do. Particularly here, they work with young people, of course, youth, right, for Christ. So they work with young people in the community. Young people are just, maybe just need somebody, right? There's a lot of young people today that they just need somebody to tell them that they matter. Give them something to do too. They have lots of activities. This is not their facility. This is a local church gymnasium where they have this because there's a lot of people showing up here. And typically somebody, a business or a person will buy a table. I don't know how much they go for, but they'll buy a table and then they'll invite guests to, sit at the table, enjoy the meal. And last year and this year, John Kraviatsik has sponsored all of the tables. So that's such a great gift. Finished getting set up here. We're putting some honey over on the coffee and tea stations over the other side. My wife is actually, she's making the rounds. I brought honey sticks. We're putting one honey stick at each plate so they can enjoy that this evening, and then they can come over here and buy some of Manitoba's most delicious honey. That's the inventory table, and then this is the sales table. So like I say, I didn't bring nearly enough last year, so I brought a lot more this year because it was sold out. There's still people standing there wanting honey, and it's kind of like, sorry. So yeah, should be good. It was a really good meal last year and a good program and a good time. We had a good time with the people we were sitting with, so hopefully that happens again. And just thought I'd fill you in on what's going on today. It's Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. There's that 24-24 again. I think that happens every month, doesn't it? It's beginning to be a pattern. I can hear my big melter over here sizzling away, and I'll let you know what's going on there in a second. But I'll catch you up. As you see from my last little snippet there, we had a good day on Saturday. We sold a lot of honey for charity on Saturday. It was a lot of fun. Boy, people come fast and furious at that table when it's time. So it only takes us about 15 minutes to sell our allotment of honey. Last year I didn't take nearly enough, so a lot of people were disappointed they didn't get any. This year I sold twice as much as I did last year, and that was really nice. Partly because I'm not sure we were taking credit cards last year. We might have been, but I think maybe we were taking only cash. So that always kind of catches people off guard if they weren't planning to buy honey. They might not have cash in their pocket. So we took some credit cards this time and debit cards and stuff like that, and that doubled the sales. At least the sales were doubled. We sold over $1,400 on Saturday for the charity. So that was really, made me feel good. Made me feel very good. It's a very worthy cause. They do excellent work with these kids, and it's something that the whole community benefits from in that regard. I actually took a day off for the most part on Sunday, so there's not much to report there. Monday and Tuesday. Monday I've just been working in the shop. Monday I had to I spent a lot of time moving things around to shift gears. I took all of my material for the two-way pallets in the Woodshop and got set up there, and I've got about 10 pallets built, at least the bottom part. I haven't put the shims on yet in there now. Wow, is it ever congested in there. But I'm well underway with the two-way pallets, and so it should take me 2-3 weeks to do those. And it doesn't take that long to do those, but there's a lot of interruptions, as you'll see today. There's an interruption today, but it's a good interruption. They're always worthwhile, but it is what it is. So Tuesday I was building pallets again, and let's see. So Tuesday night, actually, we had a really good presentation from Nod about Formic Pro. Tom Nolan and Dr. Heather came on YouTube and did a really good presentation for us. I'll link that presentation here if you didn't see it. You can go and take a look. They described the product really well. There was a good, lively conversation. We had a panel discussion afterwards, etc. So that was a nice time. And that brings us to today, Wednesday. Now, today is about the first really nice day. The forecast high for today is 17C, which is a nice day. It's a very nice day. So we've had what's called a northerly flow over the last week or so, and that's kept temperatures down. You saw last week we got some snow. That didn't last more than a day or so, but it made a lot of mud again. And that switched around today. Yesterday it was cool. It only got up to 2 to 3 degrees yesterday. It was cool. And today that switched around to a southerly flow. Now it's some warm weather. It's nice that it's not super windy though. Tomorrow's going to be terribly windy, and I think it's going to rain tomorrow. So it's going to be very, very warm and rain tomorrow. Tomorrow's overnight low is only going to be as low as what the temperature is outside today. So you can tell that southerly flow really makes a big difference. So enough about the weather, but because it's so warm, I'm going to check the bees today. So I'll take you out there and show you kind of what's going on. I remember last I checked the bees, I was looking at the brood, and I estimated that it was the 24th of April I would see turnaround. And so I'd like to see the brood nest to see if I was right. And we're going to check. I'll take some more patties out there and check to see if they would appreciate another patty, and we'll put those on if they need it. So it's going to be nice to see the bees again. I haven't been really messing with them too much. They've got a jar of syrup. They've got lots of feed in the colony, so they really don't need much from me except stay out of their way. So that brings me to what's going on in here. Well, what's going on in here is cappings rendering. Now, I want to give you an update on the spinner. I bought a Maxant Senior spinner last fall. Until then, in previous years, I've had a great big capping tank with a screen in the bottom. The cappings would drain, and then I would scoop out the wax into 5-gallon pails, and then when I had time, then I'd render that off. And what I found was in that method, by volume, about half of that was honey. A lot of honey left in those. So I was anxious to see by volume how much honey would be left in the cappings after the Maxant Senior spinner was done with them. And I'm not saying that I was very efficient in what I did, but you know, these are the results. I had a total of 19 pails of cappings. Some of them weren't nearly full, so I'm going to say that I had about 16 pails. So no more than 16 pails of cappings. Now, with the old system, that would have meant that I had 8 pails of honey out of that, and then the rest wax. But I put all the cappings in my big melter here, warmed them up real nice, dumped the honey out, and I ended up with 2, 4, 5. I ended up with 5 pails of honey. So, you know, that's just over half of what I would have gotten out of the cappings before. I think I can increase that a little bit, just by getting better with how I use the spinner and whatnot. So I think the spinner was worthwhile, and it dries up the cappings really nice and allows me to render them off. Now, what am I doing with this? So I put all of the cappings in my melter here, and I ran the temperature right up. I usually take a lot longer to do it than I did this time. I was impatient, so I ran the temperature right up to about 70 C, and you're gonna have to do the conversions on this if you're not using C. So I ran it right up to about 70 C because I know the wax melts in the 75 degree C area. And this is something interesting about the properties of wax. Wax is not like water when you go from water to ice and ice to water. There's that 0 degree right bang on number, whereas -1 it's solid and 1 is liquid. Same with boiling. 99 C is hot liquid, 101 C is boiling. Wax doesn't do that. Wax just kind of gets a lot softer until it lets go and melts, and so there's not one temperature in there that melts. It's somewhere between 70 and 75 C. So that's what I did. I warmed that up real nice so all the honey would hasten to the bottom of the melter, and then I poured it off. Now it's darkened, of course, so I have to sell that as melter honey. It's not going in the jar. I was anxious to get this process done and get the honey out. So then what I did was I turned that up to 90 C, and that got the wax really cooking, really nice and warm. And then I poured it off through the spigot here into my little trays. Now these little trays I have, these are just a little plastic tray. I get these from Princess Auto. Actually, you can see the sticker there. And I just bought a whack more of them. You get them on sale. They're only about $2.50, and they're good for the wax. So go to Princess Auto if you need the trays. They're actually on sale right now. And so what I did was I poured the wax off into those. And you still get some honey. You know, if you put any water, you still get some water. Poured that off into there, laid them out on the garage floor, let it solidify, and then the melter was empty except for the slum gum, and the slum gum has wax in it, right? So got to get the wax out of the slum gum. So I put about that much water in the melter. Okay, I covered all the slum with water, and I put this big cage in the melter, and you can see it's perforated, and that just pushes the slum down and allows then, once I warm it up again, the wax floats on the water. Then I take the lid off and I shut the melter off. And so that's what I did last evening. And then that was cooled enough this morning that I was able to take this rather large puck of wax out. And it's still got some gum on the bottom. You know, it's a process. So I've set that aside for now. And then I filled the melter most of the way up. Probably, you see the handle of that, that's the mid-tap handle. So the mid-tap, I filled the melter up to 1 inch below the mid-tap. Doesn't have to be exactly an inch. I filled it up to about that much below the mid-tap with water. I turned it back on, running at 90 C, and then I put all of my wax back in there. So I'll show you what's in there now so you can kind of get a visual of what's going on. Okay, it's getting warm. It's not too hot to touch yet. I can see condensation here on the wax. So this wax actually came out quite nice on the first melt, but it's going to be even nicer. So it's right full. All my big bricks of wax are in there. There's probably I don't know, there could be 150 pounds, maybe 200 pounds of honey wax in here. And you can see water, right? So along the side here is the mid tap. So again, the water level was filled to just about an inch below that mid tap. So once this wax is all melted, again, we're using properties of wax and properties of water. Wax is not soluble, so the wax and the water will not combine. So what you'll get is you'll get water up to here, and then you'll get wax. So whatever amount of wax then is floating on the water, all of the impurities in the wax will, certainly over time, either make their way to the bottom of the wax, into the water, or to the top of the wax. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is with the mid tap, I can pour off in the center of that wax band that's in there, so I can pull, you know, unfiltered pure wax out of there. So there would be no impurities that sink or float, which is most of them. Okay, so that'll be likely tomorrow once this is hot and all melted, and I'll set up my little tray over on this side, and I should be able to just pour that right in the tray, and then that'll set overnight, and I'll have a nice clean block of wax. So that's the explanation with the melter. And now we need to put the lid back on it. This is a very heavy insulated lid. And let that heat up. That'll be a nice big pour tomorrow. Also very sad looking. There's a nest here. There's some open larvae in here, and you can see there's sealed brood. There's the queen on that side. See, there's the queen here, marked red. There's eggs throughout here, so that's good. These are just so weak, so terrible. I can't even steal enough bees for a mite sample. That's just, you know, what can I do? So obviously this is a happy tablet hive. As terrible as these look, I think it is looking good for Happy tablet. The best of the worst. Oh, speaking too soon. This is an Appy tablet hive and it's dead. Okay, that's a little more encouraging. I had marked that a 2, and I would upgrade that. So that's encouraging. That is encouraging. This frame has got nothing in it. I'll put that on the outside. So they can have the stores that are in the outside frames. There's eggs. That's a little tiny nest, but there's eggs through here. I shouldn't have set the frame down like that because I don't know where the queen is. So this is encouraging. This is kind of healthy. Sealed brood. There's some larvae in the empty cells. There's eggs and larvae on the outside. And they're storing pollen almost randomly here. I just saw a presentation by Randy Oliver, and he talked about the pollen, the distance of the pollen from the larvae that the nurse bees are feeding. And he said once the pollen gets more than an inch from the larva, that impacts the amount. And I think he said the ability for the nurse bees to feed the larva. So that stupid pail's leaking on it. Of course, that's what pails do. I'm seeing lots of nice young bees. They're real fuzzy ones. Lots of young larvae. That's good. This one is catching on. They're going to be okay. They're certainly still really small, but it's amazing, isn't it? A colony like this, in 6 weeks that'll swarm. Kind of crazy. I can feel the heat emanating from that brood nest. Yeah, that's a nice little nest they've got going there. Okay, I didn't see the queen. Put that back together. This patty right over that little nest. That's important. Put the patty over the nest. That's good. I'll get them a new jar. I had marked this a 3. This did not have an Appy tablet over the winter. I can't say they're consuming the patty, which is always concerning, right? Got some stores. They're packing away that syrup from the jar in that comb. The queen. She's a little bit shorter queen. She's a yellow one with a red dot. It's hard to see. The sun is working against me. He's got a decent little nest going. If this is good brood, sometimes it's chilled brood and it's dead. Jar is dripping down on the comb. See, this is the jar dripping. You know, here was somebody who was talking about that, saying it was an Appy tablet that dripped, but Appy tablet's too dry, it doesn't drip. There was never a tablet on this hive, so that's definitely a leaky jar. That's all that is. And I'm always in the pursuit of truth, you know. I have nothing to sell. If I find something works for me or I have success with a product, I like to share that, but it makes no difference to me what you put in your bees. Just, you know, in pursuit of what is actually going on. Things like people say, oh, the bees are eating it, so therefore they need it. Well, the bees are eating it because it's made of sugar. That's why they're eating it, really. You know. So that one was marked a 3, and well, I think they'll be okay. Well, there's bees there. Well, that's a good sign. This I marked a number 3. I see no activity at the entrance, which is odd. Oh, look. There's bees here. That's so unlike my apiary. That's beautiful. Oh, there's bees everywhere. Little stingy yellow bees. And this is a non-Appy tablet hive. I see larvae out this far. I see lots of larvae in there. Yeah, this one's turning around. I see something on the next frame though that I need to check. Okay, this is what I wanted to check. This, there's a big old cup here. It's empty. No big deal. I was hoping they weren't going to try and replace their queen right now. I think that would be a bad idea. There's another cup there. So maybe they are trying to replace her. Sometimes they'll make those cups and then they corral the queen around and trick her into laying into her doom. Yeah, lay in this one. It'll be fine. While they snicker under their breath. Okay, I know you're looking at shadow, but that is the closest thing to a slab I've seen since last summer. Oh, this is nice. Okay. And again, this is not an Appy Tablet colony. I know some of you are keeping score. I'm roughly keeping score, but not really. We have good and poor in both categories, as far as I can recall. Oh yeah. So she's laid up in here. I think this is turned around because this is fresh. This has emerged. And then she's laid that again. Yeah. Yeah. So this one's turned around already. This one turned around probably 4 days ago. So they got a little bit of a jump on the others. I'm going to put this back together. So it's really nice. Really nice. This is the best colony yet. You know, and this is a really good colony for my apiary for this year. It's actually a pretty nice looking colony, bar none, right? It's definitely behind, and it's not the strongest colony, but they seem healthy. They seem nice. Don't do that. They're stingy little things. Holy smokes. That's not what you want. Patties. We'll get some patties on this one. Thought you were gonna sting me on my finger. I think she was, but regardless. Okay. All right. I'm all excited. I got one colony that doesn't look like crap. This was also not an Appy Tablet colony. I will stop qualifying that soon, but I think at this stage of the game it's still relevant for the experiment that I conducted. And I'm starting to formulate a conclusion, and my conclusion is inconclusive. Because there's good and bad in both sets. Oh, don't sting me. Don't do that. Don't do that. Very yellow bees. They seem a little jumpy though. You know me, Mr. Short Pants. I like gentle bees. Okay, I see a whole bunch of bees here now. You can't see it, but I can see the difference. There's a whole whack of bees here. This whole area are bees that are probably only a day or two old. Very young bees. You can tell their wings are tight to their body. Their body is a little compressed. These are beautiful little bees. This colony is going to be okay. This colony is going to be okay. So the last two in the apiary over at this end. There's the one at the other end, and these last two are actually looking pretty good. For the kind of winter I had, they're looking great. They're alive for one. There's the queen, a great big giant yellow queen down the bottom of that frame. I don't care to handle the frame that has the queen on it. I'm gonna put that in there. Okay, nice little nest like this. Beautiful. Obviously they've eaten that patty up. So I'll give them more patty. Well, there's nothing too spectacular out here. There's three of those. Three of those that I'm encouraged by. 3 out of 175. Always have to think of that, right? I want to say again that I'm touched with all the generosity that everybody has shown me through this. I appreciate the thoughts and prayers and good wishes and kind words. And there's been a number of people send some cash my way, which I'm going to turn into nukes. I really appreciate that. I'm going to specifically turn that into nukes. I'm doing okay though. You know, I'm doing okay, and part of that is the fact that I'm surrounded by good people. I'm surrounded by some really good people, and you know who you are. So I don't want to belabor this whole thing about me losing my bees, but I just wanted to relate that to you. You know, keep praying, and you know, the encouraging words are always welcome. But don't be too brokenhearted right now. There's some things coming, but we won't see a lot coming here until probably 3 weeks at least. You know, mid-May is when we'll see some of these plans start to come to fruition, and just begin to step through some of these plans. So there's going to be stuff happening. There's going to be, like I said, some nukes move in here. I've got those lined up already, and you know, I've got some bees lined up. I've got some queens lined up, and largely because of, you know, the good and generous people around me. I so much appreciate it. Anyway, I will leave you with that. There's 3 more that I knocked off here as dead, and that leaves 9. 9, but there's some there. It's just a queen and 10 bees. Do I rub something like this and make a little split? Is that what I do? Maybe. Maybe I should do that. Get a little nuke box, take a frame of brooding bees, cage up that queen. Maybe I'll do that. I think I'm going to do that. That's all I can do. This one, they seem to be doing really well. Maybe I can rob a little bit out of them, just to salvage that queen. You know, she's wandering around there. She's not even laying. She's just kind of lost. And we'll see we'll see what she can do. All right, I'm gonna gather some equipment and do that. So I've got a Jeezy Beezy cage here, but I got no candy. I'm just gonna fill it with wax. They might pick that out. They might not. If they don't, then I come back here in about 3 days and let her out. Okay, so there's my cage, but I'll make up my nuke first. They're all lined up around here like a little trough of piggies, or like piggies to the trough. So now we have to find the queen. Everybody's favorite game. Where's Waldo? I think I'm gonna get my chair. Now, in my haste, I started this poorly. I'm gonna leave a frame out. I want it to be a feed frame, not a brood frame. So I'll get that one back in there. I hope she's marked. Again, these queens were marked when I got these nukes, but I know I had some swarms, and if they swarmed, then they'll have a new queen. Which will not likely be marked. I did see this queen, didn't I? Earlier? Boy, she's in here. She's laying really nice. Lots of young larvae in here. Very nice to see. Very encouraging after such a rough spring. There's a cup there. There's nothing in it. Shouldn't be. There's nothing wrong with this queen. There she is. She's a big yellow unmarked queen, so she might be a swarm queen. Okay, so put that over there. And I'm gonna take the most mature frame I can find, which is not gonna be a lot. But, so this is a nice frame here. Okay, we'll take that. Put that in there. I'm gonna give them one shake of bees. Like that. And this. This is the frame I brought to replace it with. Oh, stingy sky raisins. Okay, patties. Have your patties back. Don't do that. I told you not to do that. Well, listen, they don't listen to me. My bees don't even like me. I don't know why I think they should listen. Okay. Now they're going to sit in this box closed up for tomorrow. So it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday today. So I'll open their door on Friday. It's going to be rainy tomorrow anyway, so it really doesn't matter that I close the door. But I'm going to close the door anyway. because if I don't, they'll go home today. Okay, take this off since that's not meaningful anymore. I think so. A skill that I don't have perfected, that I'm going to practice, is picking up the queen and putting her in that cage. You want to practice that? Why not practice with a queen that's doomed anyway, right? Where is she? Oh, jeez. It's when you realize the bee is on the inside of the veil. Oh, queen is sitting on that frame outside the hive the whole time. So it's best to not have sticky fingers, I believe. Let's see. When I do them, when they're virgins, I do it like this, but yeah, should I put attendants? I think I should. Okay, little bees. Grab by the wings. You know, march in there. Nope, she was having no part of that. That's one. Okay, you. That's an old one. Pick them up wrong, they turn around and drill you right in the fingers. I haven't had that happen much, but I know it can happen. There's two. Go in the hole. That's three. Yeah, three's enough. They're in a hive, so. All right, so I got my little queen there. These bees, they're kind of doomed. I mean, I can shake them somewhere else, but I'm gonna go over and just set this in that hive. Okay, I left that down at the end there. Hopefully that queen will be okay. And I'll come back in a couple days, make sure she's out of the cage. Or I'm sure she won't get out of the cage because I've done that before and they don't chew that wax out very quickly. Yeah, so I'll let her out of the cage and hopefully she can have the workforce she needs to, you know, set up shop and make a little family there of her own. Because she didn't have any choice, you know, any chance here. And if I did nothing, at least I feel a little bit better about that. Anyway, back to building pallets for me. So thanks for watching. Take care and have fun. It's Thursday, April 25th, 2024. I need to do something here. I want to build pallets. I want to pour wax, but I need to do something here. It's a good time because the ground is just getting dry enough that I can drive around almost anywhere with the tractor, particularly with a load. And what I need to do is I need to get all of these boxes, all the way to there in the sea can. We don't have a problem with the wax moth here in the spring, but as time goes on, the wax moths come north and they start invading our equipment. I have had good success storing comb in the sea can because it's pretty bug proof. I don't get a lot of problems in there. There's a little bit, but not much. It's a little bit windy. It's a fairly warm day. I hope the Mike is putting up with it okay. So really I need to move these over there, and then the grunt work starts. I need to lift them all up into a stack, and the sea can's pretty full, so I need to pile them up 10 high. That's going to be difficult because they're pretty much all right full of honey, right full of syrup. And not only that, but I have to take care of these. I want to get these frames out of these sixes, out of these sixes, out of these sixes, all into 10s. The wooden sixes maybe I can put in there, but I don't want to because I want to use those pretty soon in the next few weeks. Now I've been advised to put these frames away for a season. I'm not sure I can do that. I'm not sure I have enough equipment to do that, but I'll try. And that's because there's a phenomenon of viruses on comb. And since my bees died of viral infection, mite infestation, and that means viral overload, there's quite likely going to be virus on the comb. I'd love to send that to be tested, but it's exceedingly expensive to test that comb for virus loads. So err on the side of caution, right? I'm going to take those and put them away in the sea can. I'm going to try to not use them. I have some honeycomb from last season that I can use. I have some brood comb from last season I can use because I'm going to be making a lot of nukes and splits here this summer to build up my apiary again. So that is today's job. It's a nice day for it. Tomorrow morning it's going to start to rain, and it'll rain all day tomorrow. So not only do I not want to work outside in the rain, then it's going to be muddy again for a few days. So I need to get these over there, and it's just a short trip from here over to the sea can. And there's a little bit of mud there already, so it's none too dry. The ground is still a little bit soft, but it's not collecting on the tires if I stay out of the mud hole. So that's what I'm doing here. Another little thing that needs to be done is, you see this. There's a pallet of it's foundation, and that's the foundation. There's about 750 sheets of foundation there, and that's the foundation from the frames that I culled off last year. And the reason I say I'm going to move all of the frames up to here is because that's the dead outs. Everything from here over is there's just frames in those boxes. There's no foundation. Those need to be dealt with too, but it's not as urgent, and it's not going to get wax moth infested. So I don't need to deal with those right now. But those foundations, I want to move them into the building today while it's dry, so then I can take them and get the pressure washer going, wash them up, and then I might put them in the melter to kind of wash them and warm them and get them cleaned up best I can. All those frames I want to wash in the melter. So that's going to take me all summer, I think. But there's 750 frames there, and we know what those things are worth. So it's, $2,500 or something sitting over there in the corner. I don't want to lose that. So that's today's work. Thanks for joining me. Okay, is it ever windy out here? My tripod keeps falling over. So just for perspective and scale here, the reason I'm just about out of gas already is there's 150 boxes here, and judging by how heavy they are and whatnot, we're looking at about 7,500 pounds, which I've already lifted by hand already, and I need to lift by hand again in this building here. Now, this is only 5 high, and I'm pretty sure that I can't get them all in if I only go 5 high. I can go 10 high in this building, but I don't know if I have enough gas to make 10 high stacks, so I'm going to make 5 high stacks through here. We'll see how it goes and see how things fit. These are really, really heavy. This is reason enough to not let your bees die. And you're probably saying, why doesn't he use that hive lifter? He might be able to, but it's hard to maneuver, very hard to maneuver. So maneuvering it around in a place like this, I don't think that would work very well. There's about half of them that don't have lids on them here. And I really want to get those inside. The ones with the lids, they can sit there, but it's going to rain tomorrow all day, I guess. So they'll either be there until the ground dries again, or I need to put them somewhere I can get at them from the gravel part. Well, it's all in with 10 boxes. So I'll have to figure something else out. Because that is it. That's all I can get my sea can. I like these lids. I'm just out of gas. Put things away. I gotta do up the gates and then call it a day. It's Friday, April 25th, 2024. And I am predictably very, very sore and tired. That work yesterday really did me in. But as predicted, it's raining. So I'm glad I did do that when I did. So today I have to play indoor games. There's a couple different things I'd like to do. This, of course, this will be going on for a while. I haven't got much done on that this week, so I need to get some of that done. Also, there's a melter full of wax in the honey house to be poured out into molds. So I'll go in there and do some of that. But firstly, I want to share with you James, the fellow that makes these little feeder lids. He made, I told him that I use a wide mouth mason jar for my feeding, and he hadn't brought one of those sizes over. So he did. He brought this one over, and he said he was actually able to bring that price down a little bit, which I think is really good. So what I thought was really interesting is this one product. I haven't tried it yet, so this is what he's telling me. He's got threads here for a standard size mason jar, standard mouth, I think they call it. But what I use is called a wide mouth mason jar. And what he's done is he's made this one lid so that it'll fit a standard mouth mason jar on the inside and a wide mouth on the outside. So that one feeder will do both. Now I know there's a size of jar called a gem, and these aren't for gem jars. Gem jars is an obsolete size. It's an extremely popular size over the last 100 years, but it's obsolete. You can't get lids and rings and stuff for those anymore. Bernardin did make, these are Bernardin jars. Bernardin did make gem lids and rings and whatnot for quite some time, but they stopped making that. I think it was last year they stopped making that. So those are obsolete now. So if you're using gem jars and you see any that are being given away or you can get just for the rings and whatnot, get those, because that's the last. So this just pushes right into this mason jar. And hopefully it stays in there. I have to get that right in there. I don't want to break it. So I'm going to go tip that onto a colony, and we'll see how that if it holds a vacuum. It should. It's in there nice and tight. It's snug. I think it's sealed up just fine, and that's going to solve my not being able to get these rings off. So it's raining outside, so I'm not going to take you with me. I'm going to go out and put this on a hive. I have to change a jar on one of the others. I've got 3 little nukes out here by the honey house, and I'm just going to put that on there and then come back in. Well, I went out there, and this forms a vacuum and sits on the hive just fine, but the problem is all 3 of those that are out there are now dead. So I'll have to wait till the rain stops and I'll go collect those and take care of them. So unfortunately, that's that. Now, I think the big lesson here is it goes on the jar nice and snug, and it does form a vacuum because it's a tight seal here. And yeah, and that's about it. I'll probably, when the weather gets warm, I'll move these over to my apiary just so I can use them and just get a good little review for you. I can't see any reason that my opinion would change on them. I think it's a nice deal. I'm not sure the price point works for somebody with lots and lots of colonies, but you'll have to email James and see what he can do for you. For a hobbyist, if I had 10 colonies, I'd probably buy these to put on my colonies, because they solve some problems. They solve the issue of this metal lid getting rusted on there and stuck. I like the jars. The thing that I don't like about the jars is getting that lid off. So this solves that problem. It's a nice little application for that. I like the keyhole slots too. I think I'd take advantage of those. So it is what it is. And if you are interested in those, you can email James. I'll put that in the description in this video, and you can talk to him about those. He did bring these over here. He lives, I don't know, 20 miles east of me or something, and he did bring these over here. He's not a beekeeper, but he has friends who are beekeepers, so he made these for them. And so he brought these over and asked me to have a look at them and see what I thought. So he didn't charge me for these. He was grateful for the exposure. And again, it's probably not something that I can take advantage of in bulk, but I have to talk to James still about that and see what his see what he can do for me for using these. I would at least like to get some for my nukes that I use the jars on, because that would help me out a lot. So we'll see. But anyway, just full disclosure, I didn't buy these. He brought them over here, and that's the full deal on that. Now I need to get over to the honey house and start pouring some wax. So that's what's on the docket now. Typically when people pour wax in my area, a lot of people anyway, they'll use a tub like this. These are very strong, they're very sturdy. And if you fill that, maybe halfway up, you'll get 35 pounds of wax. That makes a nice brick. Now, I have a few of these. They're expensive. I think I paid $20 a piece for them. But I since discovered a smaller version like this. This cost me about $2.50. Princess Auto Surplus. And it makes a brick that's a little easier to handle, smaller. So I really like these. I can get more of them and make smaller bricks. So what I've got here, and I'm sorry there's so close quarters here, it's hard to see, but I've got my mid tap, and that's where I'm going to be pouring my wax from into my tote here. It's called a stackable tote is what it is. So the wax, I can see the wax is all the way up to here in the melter. And I put this much water, it's about an inch down from there. So I put about this much water in here. So I should have that much wax. That's a lot of wax. And this is going to take more than one pour. Now, when I pour the wax, the key is to cover, put on the floor and cover the wax then with cardboard sheets. And what that does is it offers some insulation. And you probably know that when wax cools and solidifies, it shrinks. So what that does is it helps the wax block to kind of cool a little more uniformly, and it mitigates cracking. And so it just makes a nicer block, and it's not going to fall apart when you're handling it, which sometimes they do, and it's far more of a big problem than you might imagine just from that description. So I'm just going to open this gate and we'll see what comes out. It should be nice clean wax coming out of here. I shouldn't have to strain this. I've done an initial strain on it already. That looks really nice. I don't want these to be super big. And again, the more you put in there, the more likely it's going to crack. So I think I put plenty in this one. Can't really tip it up and show you what I've got, but I'll set it down on the floor here. Turn that to get that last drip. Okay, so that's 10. I've only got 10 of those. And I don't want to pour any big ones right now. I do prefer the small ones. Now we'll cover that up. These cardboards are kind of nasty, but try not to get too much junk into the wax. I learned this trick from Ian. Covering the wax, keep it from cracking. Okay, so I estimate there's maybe 15 pounds, 15 to 20 pounds maybe in each. So that's 150 to 200 pounds. I'm going to slide this back in there. This should sink to the bottom, and then I should be able to pour off that wax because the mid tap is right in that wax band. I've got a good 3 to 4 inches of wax above the mid tap still. I've also got some wax from last season that I also want to re-pour, just because the bricks are not very nice. They're cracking and hard to handle. Key here is don't splash, because this is a lipid. And it'll splash and stick to you and burn you really bad. That's why it's just nice when it doesn't break apart like that. Because you get small pieces and then you lose those. All right, as long as it goes under the lid, we'll leave that for another day. That brought the wax right up here again. So I'll likely get that many again. Maybe no more than that, I guess. So we'll pour that tomorrow. I'm running the melter at 79C. I did some reading about wax, and the wisdom is that anything over 80C could have an effect on the color of the wax. And I was running it a bit hotter, but I turned it down yesterday. So it's running at 79, just to give that margin below 80. And that's wax pouring for today. Now we build pallets. Woodshop's getting very congested. I've actually managed to get all of my parts for the 100 two-way pallets I'm building in the woodshop. However, that's causing congestion issues. You can't see. This pile is all of the plywood that I need to make into pallets. Behind there is all the 2x4s, so I have to move them up here to reach them. And then behind there is the rest of the parts for the shims. And I haven't been doing the shims. I've been only doing what I call the underpinnings. You can see here. So I got 10 of them here. So one reason I kind of like doing it this way is they stack a whole lot nicer before I do the shims. And I apologize, I'm still very tired. But the glue, you know, if I stack them up here and let the glue set, if I'm trying to do shims and moving the pallets around and everything, I'm going to get glue on my clothes and on the tools and everything a lot more easily. So suffice it to say, that's how I prefer to do it. So I've got shim pieces laid out here, you can see, but I'm not using them. I'm just laying the plywood on and screwing it down and then putting the runners on. Okay, here's a trick I learned from somebody. I don't remember where, but when you cut the end of the caulking tube off, save the tip, and that makes a good little plug for the tube when you're done for the day. And now you don't have a big cork in there. It's hard to squeeze out past. It actually works really well. Stuff's made of, I believe it's made of polyethylene, and there's nothing in the universe that sticks to polyethylene. Nothing. There's nothing that sticks to polyethylene. They make gas tanks and things out of polyethylene. The glue bottles. Somebody did ask one day, how come the glue doesn't stick to the glue bottle? Well, that's because it's made of polyethylene. Nothing sticks to polyethylene. Yeah, HDPE, high density polyethylene. I mean, there's glue in there, but it just gets smeared around, and then sometimes it gets thin enough that it'll set up, and it's never coming out then. Well, this one's kind of not the greatest on either side. Oh well. I've got a new method I've been using. It worked really well. I'll set this thing on the risers. I'll set it on the risers. And then I get out my narrow crown stapler. Make sure it has staples in it. And then I can hold this with my fingers. When you drive a screw in something, it often will wander a little because it'll try and find the softwood between the hardwood rings. So I'll just do this and okay, and that just pins it. That just pins it in place. So I'll just pin it front and back there. I'll put one in this one. The jig holds the front of this 2x4 in place. Now I can lift it. So that uses a few staples, 5 per pallet. I'm okay with that because it helps out my assembly. This one used 6. It helps out my assembly process remarkably. It makes it far more accurate and easy to stay accurate, so it saves me time. That'll be covered by a shim anyway, so it won't be an issue. Okay, so the next step, the actual next step, we've got to mark this. I didn't make a guide block for this, so I just measure it 16 3/4. This is a good rainy day job for sure. This is one place I like to wear this. It's a little bit loud. Like these Milwaukee batteries, they have a built-in battery check thing. I can see that battery's running out of juice. Okay, I'll flip that over. Get our guidelines. It's just a guideline. It's not a law or a rule. It's just a guideline. A little more glue. A little trick I use is I'll put the leading edge down like this, squish it backwards, so that when the squeeze out happens, it comes out the back, not the front. That just makes cleanup later on much easier. So use my little stapler trick again. There. And this one is actually, the 2x4s are lined up nicely, so I can tack that in. And now I can run my screws with no problem. That one I want to squeeze a little. If it's so easy to do it right, then why not do it right? Right? Now usually I'll put the screws on in there before I let that clamp go. This time it worked out because I didn't squeeze it very far. But that little staple really isn't enough to hold that in place after I squeeze it. So I kind of made a mistake there in my process. It's okay, it's fine. Okay, so that's done. That's it until that glue dries. That's what's going on today. Not too much excitement, but I am excited that I can get back to pallets. I have a long way to go on this, and I need to be making tracks. I've only got 11. I've only got the bottoms of 11 done, so I've got a long way to go. I've got 100 to do, and but you know, you get 10 done, you just do that 10 more times. But I have to do tops still. So, thanks for watching this week. I really appreciate it, and also thank you again to all those who've been supporting me. I'm going to be able to bring a few nukes in here because of your generosity, and I'd really like to show my appreciation to you somehow. So if you have ideas what I can do for you to show appreciation, do you want a nuke named after you? I'll do that, no problem, if you want. Some people don't really care to have their giving known in public, so I want to respect that. But you know, there's nothing wrong with, if you want a nuke named after you, then I'll just do that, and we can talk about that and identify that all summer long. So if you you know, if you have ideas of what I can do for you, because you've all been so generous to me, then just put those in the comments or send me an email. My email address is in the description, the channel information, so you can find it there. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks again. Take care and have fun.